Hi everyone, so as promised, I'm creating a shorter video, a shorter presentation about the Kawruh Jiwa Suryomentaram, hopefully to help you understand about the concepts and ideas and propositions of this theory better. Um, Caution, this is relatively really very short compared to the presentation that you read last Thursday. So here I will be only explaining some important and basic ideas of the Kawruh Jiwa Suryomentaram. And if you still have more questions, please feel free to uh, write down your questions, or you can return back to the article that uh, I have shared and the PowerPoint that I have shared last Thursday. Okay, so let's start right now. Okay, so now a quick overview about the biography of Ki Ageng Suryomentaram, or oftenly to be abbreviated as KAS or KAS. Um, why do we need to know about his life? Because this is an important reason why the theory was born. So the theory was born as a way of Ki Ageng Suryomentaram or KAS to find resolution to his own actually dissatisfaction and disappointment about life. As you have, I'm pretty sure you have read in the article that Cass was born a prince, yeah, at the Kraton, Yogyakarta. He was actually the 55th child of the 79 children of the Sultan Hamengkubuwono VII. So he was born in the palace, yeah, with all the facilities, and he was also appointed as a formal prince, yeah, as a formal prince of the Kasultanan or Kraton Yogyakarta at that time. But he was feeling disappointed about how people were just treated as objects. Whoever that he felt that whoever that he met at the time, especially as a prince, after he was appointed as a prince, he felt that he was only treated other people as objects, whether it's an important guest or a subordinate or other people. He felt that he was just treating other people as objects. So he felt actually disappointed about the system, yeah, about the system in which uh, he lived in at that time. Yeah, he felt that people should add other people, yeah, and should have been treated as subjects and not as objects. So after a long uh, so in short, he eventually left the palace. He was actually trying to leave the palace earlier when he was younger, when he was 29 years old. He did leave the palace, yeah. um, he did leave the palace it, without the permission of the sultan for a few years, but then eventually he returned back to the palace. But after the death of Sultan Hamengkubuwono VII and the assignment of the new sultan, the Sultan Hamengkubuwono VIII, he officially he requested of the termination of his appointment as a prince to the Sultan of Hamengkubuwono of the eighth. I'm sorry, the eighth, and it was granted at the time. So he was actually already asking about the termination of his appointment before, but was never granted by his own father. But then, with the new king, it was granted, and if left the palace. He sold all his possessions. He gave all his possessions to other people, to his driver and the other employees, and went to another city, to a small town. So he went to live in Kroya, in the province of Central Java right now. He went there, changed his name, and he basically taught philosophies. He taught uh, about way of life to the people there, and he was known as Kikete Bringin at that time, because Bringin was the village where he lived in at that time. So he was called with the place that he was living in. So he was called the Kikete Bringin. Um, and then his name became to be more well known, yeah, with other people. And then during the World War I, World War II, and even until the independence, he became to be a well-known scholar, yeah, and even he was also involved in the building of uh, Taman Siswa. Uh, if you're Indonesians, you know Taman Siswa um, was built by a very important figure in the educational system, yeah, in Indonesia, Ki Hajar Dewantara. So along with Ki Hajar Dewantara, Ki Ageng Suryomentaram also actually founded the Taman Siswa. Um, and so this is why the theory was born. So this is why we need to understand his life at least a little bit, um, because after this you will learn about like why did he see human beings this way or human personality this way, because it was uh, he himself had questions about life. He himself was questioning his own life and his own way in treating other people, and the noble family's ways in treating other people, and basically the how humans treat other human beings. And he taught people to treat other human beings in a better way, not only to uh, make this each of the person's life better, but also the society. So he was basically having this kind of idea about the ideal society, which we will learn later, where all the people like all the people have healthy personality, uh, that the society can be uh, prosperous, and also all people there will live happily. So that's kind of like the utopian idea that Ki Ageng Suryomentaram had. Um, but this is also the basic and like the reason why he was seeing human beings and human personality this way. Okay, so now um, let's start to understand, to learn about the theory itself. So let's first begin with the definition of the name of the theory. So why is the theory called Kawruh Jiwa? What is Kawruh Jiwa actually? So in Javanese, uh, Kawruh means a way to understand, like an effort to study something, an effort to understand something. And Jiwa is Jiwa in Indonesian is it means soul. So basically, Kawruh Jiwa is a way or a study to understand the nature of the soul. So the study that the efforts to understand of the nature of the soul. So basically, uh, way to understand human personality. Okay, first we need to learn about some important concepts of personality that uh, were proposed in this theory. First, there is a term called rasa or rasa, um, and there is another term that's called rasa hidup, rasa urip, rasa hidup, the sense of living. So rasa hidup in Indonesian, it means in English the sense of living. So basically it distinguishes between the living objects and the non-living objects, and Cass differentiated Cass specifically mentioned who were the living objects. It includes the plants, the animals, and humans, and others were considered non-living objects. So all the living objects, they have the sense of living. That's the most important concept that we have to understand in this theory. Second concept that we must understand is what's called karep. Karep in Indonesian means keinginan. In English, it means desire, what we want. So Cass believed that we have desires, whatever, lots of desires. Yeah. this Kawruh is the desire that drives our thoughts and behavior. So basically, we have desires, we have wants, we want something, that will drive us towards a certain thoughts and behavior. And then the third concept is molor mungkret. Literally, molor means expanding. Yeah, so it's the concept of the flexibility of the Kawruh, the flexibility of the desire. So our desire can expand, yeah, and molor means expanding again, and mungkret literally means shrinking. So our desire can expand and it can shrink. So this is the concept to explain the reinforcement, yeah, of the desire. So Cass believe that every desire, that every time we we are able to fulfill a desire, and then this fulfillment is this fulfillment basically serves as a reinforcement for that certain desire, then that will expand. So for example, if you want to eat pizza, for example, yeah, you want to eat pizza, and then you are able to eat the pizza that you wanted, and you really feel that that pizza from that certain place really tastes good, so that serves as reinforcement. Yeah. So the desire to eat pizza might expand, so you might eat one slice and then, oh wow, this really tastes good, and then you might eat more and you will take another slice. Oh, really it tastes good, and it will eventually you will eat a box of pizza, for example. But those that are not reinforced will shrink or stop. So again, you want to eat pizza, you want to eat a really tasty pizza, maybe someone recommend you to eat a certain pizza from a certain place, you went there, you go there to buy the pizza, and then you find out that after one slice you feel like, oh wow, this doesn't really taste good. So then you will stop eating that pizza, right? Even though maybe you have bought a box of pizza and you were thinking about eating all of those slices in one box, but once you find out that the pizza does not really taste good, not as what the other the person who recommended said to you, then the desire to eat that pizza will just stop, it will shrink. Yeah. So whatever that's, so it has this reinforcement idea as well. So whatever that's reinforced will expand, whatever that is not reinforced will just shrink or stop. The next important concept of personality in this theory is the Namsa, or the six Sas. These are basically a set of behaviors that are conducted by healthy person, the ideal person. So the person who will who reach who the person who is able to reach the fourth dimension of the personality, then this person will be able to conduct these six behaviors. First, sakkepenae or sakpenae. This is the person can behave freely. It means that behaving based on the free will, yeah, unforcefully, on his or her free will, without being forced by other people or by even his own desire. And then the second sa is sakbutuhe. Sakbutuhe, butuh means perlu, yeah, so only what's needed. Sakbutuhe, so the person will only behave on the basis of what's needed. If he doesn't need it, so okay, eating the pizza, what's needed uh, to um, to stop the hunger, right? To stop you from feeling hungry. So once the hunger stop, then you should stop. Yeah, that's what the healthy person will do. But uh, the opposite is if you know that you are the hunger uh, already stopped, but you continue eating that pizza until you eat the whole box, then that means that you are not behaving only what's needed. Yeah. And then sak perlune, it's also related to what's needed. Sak perlune is only what's necessary. Sak cukupe, only until, ya, cukup, ya, until sufficient, ya, only until to the extent that it is sufficient. So you're not asking or searching for more. Okay, eating one slice is enough, then you're not asking for more, even though it tastes really good. Sak mestine, ya, and sak benere are related, ya, to do it properly and correctly, properly based on the social norms. Okay, then you will look at the, whether eating the whole pizza, the whole box of pizza by yourself is considered proper, or it's violating the social norms. If you feel that it's violating the social norms, then you will not eat the whole box of pizza. You will just stop in 1 or 2 slices. And sebenarnya, to do it correctly, so how is eating pizza in a correct way? Yeah, do you need to sit down um, in the dining table, and with a plate and with a knife and fork, or can you just eat it with your hand? Can you stand while eating using the right hand, the left hand? So and I do you need to buy it, or just getting it from someone else to do it correctly? So the people who have reached to the fourth dimension that we will learn later, or the person who has reached to be the ideal person, the healthy person, will behave, uh, will conduct these 6 behaviors. The next important concept is pangawian pribadi. This is basically the search of who am I. So you, in this theory, basically we are always searching about who we are. Yeah, who am I? Like, we're always searching about ourselves. So the pangawian pribadi is basically the search about the self. It also involves the here and now self-knowledge. So it does not really concern about what happened in the past or what will happen in the future. So just focusing on what is the current situation, what is happening right now, what occurs right now, what is your feeling right now, and without the without concerning about what was happening in the past, the guilt feelings, the regrets, or that relates to any the past, or without being in a rush about the future. So just focusing on now our self-knowledge about what is our feelings and our thoughts and our behaviors that relates with the current situation. The next concept is kromodongso. So kromodongso is basically the I and me concept. The I, that you're you once you find your once you know uh, about yourself with the pangawian pribadi, then you will know about you will really identify yourself. You know your characters, that this is me, like this is me. And so this is the personal self, yeah, but this is me, this is personal self, the thoughts and the feelings that create the personality, the characters, our characters. So we know that, we know about ourselves, and we can behave, we can display the behaviors that really represent ourselves. And then the next important concept is the manusia tanpa tenger, or manusia tanpa ciri, or the man without marks or identity. Basically, without marks means without identity. This is the highest level of personality that every person can reach. This is the ideal human, the ideal person. This is when we are able to realize that all people are equal, that everyone is just the same human beings. We are all the same, we are all human beings. When we are able to get rid of our marks and identities that are attached to us, so basically the status, the wealth, the other identities, whether you are a prince, or you're from a noble family, or or like normal people are, so basically this is when almost the opposite of the kromodongso. Yeah, the kromodongso is the I and me concept. This is me, but the manusia tanpa tenger, the man without marks, we really don't consider about the I and me. We just consider we are we are the same as the other people. Yeah. When we are just taking off our status, socioeconomic status, our educational background, um, what languages we can master, and etc., um, then we will be just the same with the other people. Yeah. So now about the personality structure. So CAS recognize four dimensions or measures of personality. The first one is the physical dimension. This is where this is called the juru catat, or the note taker. This is basically when the sensation and perception processes happen. This is when our five senses receive stimulus from outside, from external or internal environment, and then our brain interpret the stimuli and the stimulus in perception, and then whatever that we interpreted, it's recorded. So basically, this is why it's called the note taker. So this is basically when we record every single thing that happens in our life. The second dimension is the emotional dimensions. So this is after the record. So whatever that have been recorded in the first dimension, it becomes to be the records, and we will see what are the types of the records. This is basically all of the life experiences that were recorded after the perception, yeah, after the perceiving, uh, that produce emotion. So all life experiences will produce emotion in this dimension. So now we see there are many types of records that CAS recognize, and you can see in more detail in the article, and also in the PowerPoint slides that I shared on Thursday. So we can see here that records include everything, yeah, from materials, even sense of respect, authority, family, factions or social groups, nationality, the types or social identity, in people's intelligence, spirituality, knowledge, and sense of living. It's all recorded. So basically everything, yeah, basically everything from physical thing to the social identities to uh, something that's abstract, the abstract concepts like spirituality and knowledge. The next dimension in the personality is intellectual dimension, the cognition, the cognitive, our mind. So CAS here recognized cognition, yeah, the our ability to decide to something, the ability of our mind to make judgment. So this is the kramodongso, the thinker. But this is when the feeling of I and me occurs, yeah, because we will feel very rational about everything, and we will feel that we think we know about everything. Yeah, so this is the cognitive function. The fourth dimension, the intuitional, is the one that's the highest level of personality. This is similar to empathy. This is when we can reach the man without marks. This is when we can reach to be the healthy person, the ideal person. This is when we can think about other people without um, putting ourselves first. So we are in the dimension 3. We are from dimension 1 to 3. We are still thinking about ourselves, but in dimension 4 we are already thinking about others over ourselves. So this is really difficult to be achieved, as Cass suggested. Okay, so the relation between the four dimensions can be uh, pictured in this three-way intersection analogy. So it will first start with the sensing, perceiving, and recording of the stimuli and stimulus. So so the physical dimension, the first dimension, thus the recording itself, the sensing, perceiving, and recordings processes will trigger a certain emotion, whether it's positive or negative emotion, right? And then the second dimension, the emotional dimension, will lead us into either, you know, the left or the right ways. So it's like an intersection. So whenever, for example, we are feeling sad, and if we are just focusing on the reason behind the sadness, why am I feeling sad, what's the reason behind this, what can I do with this, then it means that we are still thinking concerning about ourselves, you know, using our cognitive function. But if we can get rid of that rational thinking, so okay, I'm feeling sad, okay, that's it, I'm accepting it, yeah, I'm accepting it, and now what's important is not my sadness, but what can I still do about understanding other people's feelings. So uh, you know, even though you're feeling sad, yeah, so and actually it might be shown during the funeral of Sultan Hamengkubuwono the seventh, when Kas or Ki Ageng Suryomentaram, you know, dressed up, you know, in a very distinguishable, in a very distinguished outfit, you know. So not, he was not dressed as a prince, but he was like as a prince who was mourning or grieving about the death of a king, but he was wearing suit and, you know, all these a very a very different way of outfit. So uh, this you know, this dimension is the intuitional dimension, the man without mark. So we are already getting rid of our rational thought. So we're just thinking about, we're forgetting ourselves. Basically, we can forget ourselves even though it's in the, you know, in sadness or anger, or when we feel negative feelings or even positive feelings. So our feelings is not as important anymore um, as other people's feelings. So according to Cass, once we are able to reach this, and if other people are able to reach this in our society, then we will reach to this utopian society that's called the Windu Kencana. So this is the formation of a secure, prosperous, and happy society together. So where everyone who live in this society uh, reach this dimension. So basically, everyone in this Windu Kencana society is healthy and ideal person. Okay, some important notes about the personality structure based on caste theory is that first, caste considered these measures, these dimensions as stages. So we only reach one stage over another after passing through the previous stage. So we cannot directly, you know, we are born and indirectly we have the ability to um, reach the dimension 4. No, we grow with it. Yeah, we grow. So first, when we are a child, in our childhood, we will first learn how to record. Yeah, records things. Yeah, to record our experiences, and how, and then how managing our emotions, and then how making judgment about the emotions, and then uh, we will be able to learn how to uh, you know, how to behave intuitionally with using our intuition, and not only rational thoughts or emotions. um, so basically we grow and develop by passing a stage after another. However, it is really hard to reach the fourth dimension, but this is the key to be the ideal person, the 100% healthy personality. So this is the key um, to be a healthy person. So it's really hard. Cass says that it's not all of the people can reach this dimension, but this is very important to be taught to the children. So all children needs to learn this, and um, the concept of empathy, the concept of feeling other people's feelings, the concept of sensing other people's senses. So not, so basically putting other people above ourselves, that's the most important thing, yeah, to be a healthy person according to Cass. You can read more in detail again in the article about the healthy versus unhealthy personality, but it does have many Japanese terms, yeah, Japanese languages. So I'm trying to just just write down the uh, definition of each of the terms in English. So healthy person, as you can see here, who are healthy. Uh, these people are able to understand feelings, yeah, so they understand the feelings, the positive and negative feelings, and basically accepting the both positive and negative feelings um, can be felt. So it's not rejecting negative feelings, yeah, and only celebrating positive feelings, but it's basically accepting both, yeah. So understanding and accepting both types of feelings. Okay, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling angry, just accept it, admit it, yeah, but not focusing on it too much at the same time. And the same with the positive feelings, like I'm feeling happy, but you don't need to focus on the happiness too much, basically. And then accepting that not all of the desires can be achieved. So okay, if some of the desires are not fulfilled, then that's okay, accept it, and that's fine, you know, that's like accepting it. um, and then behave on the basis of sincerity instead of transactional. So when behaving with other people, we consider other people as subjects, not as objects. So there's no transactions. We are not behaving on the basis of profit and losses, but but be on the basis of the feelings, and considering other people's feelings. And healthy person will be able to monitor their desires. um, so basically supervising whether the mulur and mungret, the expanding and the shrinking of the desires, so whether the desires that have been fulfilled need to expand or need to be stopped at the same time, or something like that. So they are able to monitor the desires. uh, they are able to differentiate between the correct and incorrect records, because for sure in the in the process of recordings and perceiving, we might record some false memories, and then we might believe in something that's incorrect. So the healthy person must be able to differentiate between the correct and incorrect records, and they're able to sort between the images and the meaning behind images. So seeing uh, the situation that occurs, not only seeing the situation itself, but also the meaning behind the situation. So when someone is behaving uh, in a certain situation, we are not only okay when someone is late in a meeting, so we're not only seeing that person is late, but we try to understand why that person is late, so behind the image, behind what's happening, the current situation. And then accepting the ongoing circumstances unconditionally. So okay, um, if for example someone is feeling sad because of something, then just accept it, unconditionally, without any condition. uh, just accept. So this the healthy person, basically, yeah, it's really a big concept in Japanese culture, the acceptance, yeah, accepting the circumstances, accepting the condition, accepting the situation. That's a very big thing in Japanese society. The opposite of the healthy person is the unhealthy personality, yeah. So we can see here the unhealthy person will misunderstand their own feelings. They will only want to feel happy and cannot accept negative feelings to be experienced. They will always want for more even after fulfilling a desire, so always want more and more, and always think that they are right. They also at the same time feel envious towards others, and at the same time prideful about themselves. They also feel superior over others, or they are not feeling, they don't have the sense that all human beings are equal. They will feel regretful and worried about life, um, and they will think a lot, focusing a lot on the unpleasant past experience that leaves marks or hurt feelings. So they will focus a lot on this. And they will be dishonest about their own feelings, so that they will mask, there will be lots of masking in their behavior, so they will behave in a way that's not in accordance to their emotions or their feelings. So what about psychotherapy? Did Gus talk about psychotherapy? Yes, he did actually. It wasn't really called psychotherapy, but it was kind of like a process of healing. Yeah. So psychotherapy is a process of releasing and delivering the rasa, the feeling, yeah, that is felt and is needed to be conveyed. So you can try to see, whether this concept of psychotherapy is similar to another theory of personality or not. And this can be done, this process of releasing and delivering the feeling, the rasa, can be done through any media. It can be done through writing, sayings, just telling it to other people, drawings, play scripts. He even Gus actually even um, uh, design play scripts, yeah, on this matter, and the process in taking part in plays and etc. So it can be done through anything, basically just any way to release the feelings that is felt at the moment. There are some important notes, yeah, about that can summarize this theory. First, basically, this theory teaches us about the balance in life and the acceptance of the positive and negative experiences. So we can feel sadness and happiness throughout our lives, at the same time. So, and this is something normal. It's just regular thing that happens in our life. So positive and negative experiences as just part of the human's lives, and acceptance is the key to the secure and prosperous life, or not only for ourselves but also for the society. This theory was born as a philosophical idea about human beings in the relations between humans with other beings and objects. So basically all matters in the universe, so not only the uh, living objects but also the non-living objects, every single thing, yeah. So everything, every living objects have rasa. And this idea is very close to the existentialism perspective that emphasizes realization of the human existence at the here and now, using the here and now perspective. That was also the foundation for the humanistic theories that looks at every person as subject, not object. So from here you can see, and I'm pretty sure after reading the article and also the PowerPoint slides, you can conclude that, oh, this is really close to the humanistic perspectives. Yeah. Okay, so that's it. Thank you. I hope this can help you to understand better and summarizes the Kawruh Jiwa Suryomentaram. And again, please feel free to write down your questions if you still have some questions about this theory. Okay, thank you.